So it goes, fiancé, 36 female, didn't want to sign a prenup with me, 33 male, got inheritance, and now wants a prenup. A little background here is that I make around $250K a year. My fiancé makes around $65K a year. We have both been divorced. I asked for a prenup protecting my existing assets, 2 rental properties worth around $400K together, my retirement account, my house which I live in, existing savings account, and just sentimental things. I offered to pay for a lawyer for her and make anything earned after the wedding fair game in a divorce split. In my previous divorce, my ex took a lot that I had before we even met each other and took a lot of things with sentimental value just to hurt me. I floated the idea of a prenup and she was not okay with it. It hurt her feelings. She said I was planning for a divorce if I want a prenup. She had this idea that when we marry, everything becomes ours. We've been dating for 4 years and had very few bumps, so I don't see a super high risk of divorce, but I do acknowledge it's there. Anyways, I love her, and I said sure. Fast forward a couple of months. Her grandmother abruptly dies. Wasn't expected. Grandma was quite healthy before. She had a heart attack. Apparently, the grandmother left the entire estate to her,
Jesus.
worth roughly $800K. Now the tables have turned, and she wants a prenup protecting these assets from me, which I was fine with, but she doesn't want to sign my prenup in return for that.
What?
Her reasoning is that her grandmother wouldn't have her wealth to, quote, leave her direct family, and there's a reason it was left all to me and not my siblings or parents. And that the prenup
Decent excuse, but still, why couldn't she sign the other one?
and that the prenup must not have been important to me because I threw out the idea after minimal pushback. I'm at a loss here.
That's so what?
I'm at a loss here. In one regard, I'm glad we had prenup discussions because it brought out these sides of us, but I'm really wondering if this 4-year relationship has been full of nothing but love and support for each other until now is even salvageable. She's not willing to budge on her own prenup like I was, and I'm finding this whole situation very frustrating.
Yeah, I would be so frustrated.
Yeah, a lot of red flags in that.
Wow.
A lot of red flags.
So what really gets me, I can't believe that she said that. Well, it must not be that important because
That's
minimal pushback. What? Because he respected you, loves you, and wants to make you feel comfortable and happy in the marriage. Now you're just like, well, I'm not going to respect you because like you didn't really try that hard to fight me on it.
Well, the thing is,
right? Like that's crazy.
It's really frustrating because he clearly has a lot of assets. Like he's making a lot of money a year. He's got 2 properties worth $400,000 together, a retirement account, a house that he owns, 2 existing savings and sentimental things. Like he's got a lot of stuff. He just doesn't want to be divorced again and be left with nothing and then in a bad situation where his shit gets taken from him. Like
especially when he said that his ex took sentimental things just to be a bitch. Like, yeah, of course he's going to be a little bit scarred and wants to protect himself.
It's fair. I really like I think one of the biggest fights I've ever gotten in with my partners, like Justin, was about prenups. Like
yeah, I remember you thought like you were like absolutely not.
I was kind of like this person. Like I was really hurt. Like, and I think it's just because of the fact that like Justin, like everyone in his life has been divorced. Like his parents are divorced, aunt and uncle divorced. Like he's seen a lot of divorces.
Yeah.
And so he was just like I think prenups are great. Like blah blah blah. And I took it as like you don't trust me. Like I would never go after things you cared about. Like he wants to buy his grandpa's land, which is really sentimental to him. And it's like, I would never try to take that from you.
Yeah.
In the same way that I would hope you wouldn't take my family farm from me.
Yeah.
Like I have heritage properties that are important to me too. So I was like really just kind of like, I had a sour taste in my mouth.
Yeah. It is kind of scary though, because it's like, what if he did have a change of heart and he became so bitter? Like, let's say he got into drugs and he started not being himself anymore, and then he did want to take your farm from you.
Yeah.
You know, like, obviously, I know Justin, I know you, and I don't think that would happen.
Yeah.
But it is like, you know, I think the whole idea is it makes it less romantic because it's like insurance on your love.
Yeah.
But it is kind of like.
I'm fully on board now.
Oh, really?
Fully on board. I think everyone should
have hot takes, doing a little too well?
No, not at all, because I think like there wouldn't be a lot to my prenup. I would want to like there's certain things that go into prenups. Like they're very specific to the couple. There's certain things that can't go in prenups. Like if you guys are getting married and you don't have children, you can't put potential children in a prenup and like determine custody already.
Yeah.
That doesn't work.
Right.
So there's certain rules for prenups. Mine wouldn't be that complex, I don't think. Like I think we would both have like family properties we would like to keep if we were to get divorced. Like I would want my farm protected. He would want his grandpa's land protected. I think there's little things like that. But other than that, it's like, no, I just like, I want to be able to walk away and still like have a life and be able to like afford living. But like, there's nothing I would necessarily want to like keep from him at this point. Like,
Yeah.
I don't have a lot.
Yeah.
I just have a lot of student debt. And so that's the other thing. That,
Would he have to take your student debt?
So that is the other thing that prenups can protect against.
Okay.
So yes, if you get married, like when my brother and his wife got married, like her debt became his debt because they got married.
That's what I thought.
But if you do your prenup a certain way, you can actually write into the prenup that your partner's debt accrued before or during the marriage in just their name is not tied to you at all. So that in itself, like I think that's amazing for a prenup, especially like if your husband or partner, wife is like doing, you know, riskier business moves on their own accord, like it's a fail safe for you.
Well, I saw it was a little clip, I think, of 90 Day Fiancé, and it was this really old man and then this like really adorable, like cute little girl. And he was like, they were talking to a lawyer and he's like, yeah, no, I don't want her to have anything, but I'm going to buy her gifts all the time when we're together. And she was like,
Why am I doing this?
She had kind of broken English because it was 90 Day Fiancé. Like she wasn't, she was, I don't know where
clearly
she's from.
like, it's basically mail order brides, I feel like.
Yeah, and he was just like, and she was like, you don't respect me. And he's like, I give you gifts all the time. Of course I respect you. I just don't want you to have any of my stuff that I've worked for. And then the lawyer was just like, so if you guys were to get divorced and she wouldn't be working, you want her to be left with nothing. And he was like, well, that's not how I see it.
But basically, like he looks at her as property just like anything else.
Barf. Like, that old man was not my cup of tea.
No, I saw another clip from that show too that was really like money related as well. And the guy like asked the girl, they were like sitting there across the table, and the guy asked the girl, he was like, would you still be with me if I didn't have money? And she goes, no. And he was like, what?
It was Anfisa?
And he was, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
And he was so like taken aback. He was like, what? And she was like, you wouldn't be with me if I wasn't hot.
Yeah, it's Anfisa. Yeah.
I was like,
it was so funny.
touche.
She's like, you literally came and found me off of Facebook and said, you're so hot, I want to fly you to America and marry you.
Yeah. You like, can't have your cake and eat it too, you little hypocrite.
I just thought it was so funny that she owned up to that. She's like, no, I wouldn't be with you if you didn't have money.
Yeah, I mean.
He was like, what the fuck?
Going into it with that amount of honesty and, you know, being real with each other.
Yeah, at least she's direct now. They split up and I followed her on Instagram for a little bit and she like became this boss bitch, like works out all the time. It's just like doing her own thing.
Back to the story. What's interesting about this one, granted her grandmother's death is really unexpected, but let's just say she would have signed his prenup, they would have gotten married, and then her grandmother would have died and she would have gotten that inheritance. Any inheritance that you get is not marriage property. It's not community property. So if like I was married right now and I got some sort of inheritance, it wouldn't automatically be entitled to my spouse.
Okay.
It's separate property. It's not community property.
Okay.
However, if you do get an inheritance and then start paying community bills with it, like community property bills, like home maintenance for your house, or you buy a new couch, or you put it in like a joint account, then it's community property. But if you keep it separate, it's just yours. It's your inheritance. It's not like accessible to your spouse.
Interesting.
From my understanding.
Yeah, I was going to say, you did do your research.
I tried. I wanted to know a little something for this. And I've also just been like researching prenups for myself, and they're very different state to state. Like California is a community property state, so prenups are a little more difficult here, but if you have a good lawyer, they still stand up. So just get a good lawyer. But this is a big red flag. I don't know if I would continue on with this person because if like If she's expecting you to sign a prenup for her to keep her money from you, but she won't do the same for you, it's like she feels entitled to your stuff in some regard. Or like it's just,
Yeah.
I don't know. It just is a red flag to me.
Yeah, it's a huge red flag. So what is he going to do?
So, top comment on this one.
I don't think that they should necessarily call off the wedding, but I think they need to have like a sit down talk. And
For sure.
I don't know. Because it doesn't seem like she's actually trying to be a huge bitch. It seems like she's just thinking about herself, being selfish. I don't know.
Yeah, but like you have to like, if that were me, I would see kind of like the hypocrisy of it.
100%.
Like you're being a really big hypocrite.
Yeah.
You want something that benefits you, but you're not willing to do the same thing to keep your partner safe.
Yeah.
Or like respect them. I don't know I think it's a dude. So top comment on this one. Maybe highlight the fact that she said a prenup meant that there was a plan for divorce. Ask her how your request is different from you planned on keeping your wealth and assets in your direct family too. Mm-hmm. A compromise will definitely be needed from your fiance. Don't budge on your prenup. It's reasonable. She should understand where you're coming from, especially since she seems to feel the same about protecting important assets.
Yeah.
If there's hostility because of the prenups, it's definitely worth waiting until it's resolved before moving ahead with the wedding.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Like, I don't think they should call it off, but like if they can't come to an understanding, I would be a little bit hesitant jumping in to a wedding.
Don't get married. Stay how it is.
Yeah, true.
If that's really what it is and you want to keep things separate between you two, like you don't have to get married.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Someone goes, you'll say a prayer every night and thank that grandma. Her death showed you who your fiance is.
Damn.
Yeah. Her reasoning.
It's kind of funny, but.
Yeah. So someone quotes what he says. Her reasoning is that her grandma wouldn't have wanted her wealth to leave her direct family. And there's a reason it was left all to me and not my siblings or parents. Agreed with this one. She already sees the relationship as something that can be ended. In the statement above, she basically states that she doesn't really see OP as family. Not real family, at least. I wonder what kind of foster parent this woman would make, in case OP has kids. She signs yours first, and after you sign hers. This is the only way. Bounce if that don't work. Someone goes, dump her and leave, and maybe don't propose ever again. OP goes, it's been on my mind for sure. It took a lot of mental blocks to even think about marriage again. My last one ended when I was in my mid-20s and erased all progress I'd made in life, essentially.
Aww.
That's really tough.
That's such a sad thing to say.
I know. Someone else goes, definitely check with a lawyer for their opinion on this. As from a civil and social point of view, this is not okay. Yeah, my lawyer doesn't seem to think it's a good idea at all, to the point he actually thinks her prenup would be invalidated based on how much BS it is. But his advice was not to marry.
Wow.
Someone goes, you have a smart lawyer.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And like, there's a radio show that Justin is absolutely obsessed with. It's like Dave Ryan. It's a Minneapolis-based show. Dave has this show called War of the Roses. Mm-hmm. And essentially, it's couples who think maybe a spouse is cheating, something's fishy going on. So they call that partner and say, hey, for a couple survey questions, we're going to offer you a bouquet of roses.
God, I forgot about this.
They get through the phone call. And at the end, they have to say, okay, great. Thank you for answering our survey. Who would you like to send your roses to? And you already know the name of the actual partner, the one that's calling. Mm-hmm. So if you hear another name, you're like, shit, these people are cheating. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times it blows up in their face.
Yeah.
But a divorce lawyer will actually come on after and he'll be like, thank God she found out now. I saw this divorce. It went like this. Like family law practitioners have unless they're
divorce lawyers come on the show?
Yeah, they come on the show after and give their takes on the couple and what happened.
I think that's a newer thing because I don't remember that growing up.
It's really good.
That's cool.
And so you get this like actual legal side of things as well. And it's just really.
So I'm not gonna lie, I thought like those were fake. Like most of them I thought were fake.
I honestly, I don't know. I want to think they're real. I hope they're real because they're really good. But I just really like that there's like the legal side of it too, and you get to hear other cases that this lawyer's had, other instances.
They used to be like, "Would you like a flowery?" I don't know. They'd say like basically a friend bouquet or a romantic bouquet. They used to do that.
Yeah.
And then they'd be like, I'll do the romantic roses. And they're like, oh, great. Okay. And who would you like to send that to?
I know. It's really, really good. Last comment from OP. So someone goes, "You are both awful, just like little children who don't want to share what is mine. When you marry someone, you are committing to spending your life with them. You become a team where everything is shared, the good and the bad. And in your 30s, already with one divorce each, seems you still haven't learned your lessons.
Oh, who is this entitled asshole?
No prenups. You both need to grow up and decide whether you're going to be a team or you're going to keep your weird, selfish mentality. If it's the later, don't get married." And OP goes, "I said I'm perfectly fine sharing everything I earn after the wedding."
Yeah. That like sounds like some old school like 80-year-old who got married when he was 20 and then is super religious, so like no matter what issues they stayed in the marriage. Like
Yeah.
I'm like that sounds so like just narrow-minded for him to be so either share absolutely everything
Or fuck off.
or fuck off. Yeah.
No, I agree. I think it's really interesting with prenups too, because like I agree with this. Like he should be able to keep his house. And unless she's like contributing to the rental properties and managing them, like I just don't see an argument for any of his other assets. But like anything accrued during the marriage, yeah, fair, split 50-50. But it's interesting, like I got into an argument with someone about like Dr. Dre and like Dr. Dre, you know, the guy that developed Beats, the headphones, he got divorced and he had to pay his ex-partner like a shit ton of money. And they were basically arguing that like this woman didn't deserve anything. Dr. Dre built this empire on his own. She didn't deserve anything, blah, blah, blah. And to me, I'm like, I don't necessarily think that's the case at all. Like, if she was a stay-at-home mom, she made it possible for him to work. She took care of their kids. She raised a family. She took that burden off that you would be spending on numerous other jobs or whatever.
Stay-at-home moms are the real deal. Like,
also, what if she was the whole idea behind like the Beats headphones? What if she was like, why don't you make some headphones too? Like, what if that was her idea? So that's why I think like with prenups, like you have to go into it where it is fair, because if your partner tries to be like, no, like whatever I make in the marriage, like it's still like I get all, like it has to be a fair prenup. So that's like one thing. If you do a prenup, like both people get their own lawyers to make sure they're represented well.
yeah.
And make sure it's fair.
Yeah. I think, and honestly, I feel that prenups became more of a thing. I mean, again, obviously divorce rates have gone up ever since, I don't know, always.
I think they're down like recently.
Oh, really? That's promising.
There's something interesting about our generation. I like listened to, it was a NPR Life Kit episode. And our generation is like the pickiest generation. We are not jumping into marriage like our previous, you know, our parents' generations did. We're like not settling.
Yeah.
So I think there's like less divorce with our generation so far. But it traditionally has been like you know, high for divorce rates.
Well, and there were so many social constructs about being together and staying together and how wrong it was to separate.
Oh,
you know, like in the 1920s, there's a show
There
that I
was no
used to
divorce.
watch. Yeah, and it was just like if a woman was divorced, it was so embarrassing.
A divorcee.
Yeah, and so there was so many social constructs around that where it's like people didn't even need to think about prenups because it was just like a given that you're going to stay together no matter what. Whereas now there's a lot more flexibility than there used to be, a lot more acceptance, thankfully, in the world. So now prenups are more talked about.
I know, which is good because I definitely didn't really understand them. And
Yeah, because I used to think it was just like a way to just be like, mine, yours, completely separate. I didn't realize that they could be so, you know, specific to exactly what everyone wanted. You know, like how he said, whatever we make after we get married, like, we split.
Well, and I think it's and I had a couple listeners make this point as well, but if you don't have a prenup, there's still like stuff that already determines how a divorce will go. Like your state laws and the court system will dictate how your divorce will go. So would you rather like decide for yourselves and choose the path you would like that's the best for you both, or would you rather have the state decide?
Right. True. True.
I'd rather me decide than have the state involved in my marriage, divorce, life, everything.
Yeah.
So I think that's a solid point as well.
So did he come to a conclusion? I mean, his lawyer told him not to marry her.
No update post.
Okay.
I read all of his comments.
Do you think he should get married to her, or what do you think?
I wouldn't.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't unless she's willing to sign his and blah, blah, blah. Like, he doesn't want her estate money. Like,
Yeah. I mean, the fact that he was like, I'll sign yours.
yeah. Her estate money, like, he's got a shit ton himself. So it's like her estate, she's got like $800K she got from grandma.
Mm-hmm.
He's got 2 rental properties worth around $400K, a retirement account, and a house, and an existing saving account. So his value of his things, like, they're probably very equal too.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like he probably didn't pay off both his properties fully. I mean, maybe. But
No, yeah, he could still have mortgages.
Yeah.
Like, who knows what it is, but
like, getting just $800K would be pretty freaking nice.
I would cry.
Yeah.
I would cry. My student loans would be wiped. I would cry. I'd be so happy.
I would just like have it. I would just cash it all out and then just lay in it.
put it in a room.
Yeah.
That would be insane.